let's face it, it's basically a bureaucratic maneuver where we move a lot of desks, we move people's budgets, give people different titles, because the Air Force already has a space division, so does the Navy, and so we're simply ratifying something that already exists. It sounds great. Perhaps people will rally around the flag, I don't know. The point is that it does not change the dynamics of what's happening on the ground. Funding is still going in this direction. Private enterprise is still moving in its direction. And I think that outer space is going to be a province for economic development. I'm all for that. What I'm saying is that that economic development should not be in the interest of weapons that go nowhere, that destabilize the situation, and can only lead to a war.
I would echo what Michio just said in terms of us shuffling desks around. What they've done is just taken what's already been done by the Air Force and the Navy and turned it over to this new division. It sounds very cool. It gets people's attention. I'm not sure that it increases our assets or our capabilities in any direct way. But I did want to address this issue of treaties and enforcement. We've been talking a lot about having treaties between countries and making sure that if you launch from a certain nation that you follow their rules. But remember, as Avi said, space is three-dimensional. Space is huge. So what are you going to do in the next decade or so? And I know this from being in the sector for 30 years and having more startups in particular in the last 5 years. In the next decade or so, we're going to have the capacity to print material from lunar regolith, from material on the moon. And pretty soon we're going to be launching from the moon. Who owns the moon? How do you regulate this? And as we step further out to the asteroid belts and beyond, these rules are going to have to be regulated somehow. And there is no universal body that can reinforce this. So we do have to take a different approach, because you can't just constrain these rules to this small bit of Earth and a sort of shell of space around us. It's just not going to work in the longer run.
Can I make a small point,
Rajiv?
Sean?
Yeah, please. I would like you to do that. Go ahead.
Okay, so I just wanted to kind of talk to the Space Force question. And I think this is, again, a demonstration of the kind of competitive spirit that is picking up. And because Space Force came up and it received huge amount of news headlines and so on and so forth, but that's because Trump has done it. But this is to say that this is only a response to what the Chinese and the Russians have already done. The PLA, for instance, the Chinese military, the PLA Strategic Support Force came about in 2012. And the Russians had done similar reorganization a few years ago, in a sense. It's bringing about greater coordination of different resources, different inputs such as cyber, electromagnetic weapons, as well as space under one command, in a sense. So this is, you are seeing the securitization of space in a much bigger way than we would have really liked it to be. So in a sense, Space Force got a lot of attention, but I think there's a lot of other activities have been going on in terms of institutional mechanism, as well as coordination in other countries, such as your opponent, such as China and Russia. And I think those need to be looked at as well.